It was just reported that the FBI reopens a probe into cocaine found in Biden's White House. This is in Daily Mail, Fox News. Everybody's reporting on it because they said that. The FBI is launching a new probe into the discovery of cocaine at Joe Biden's White House in 2023. According to FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino. With all the time they have to open up this 2023 investigation, you would think that they released the Epstein files. You would think that they charged at least one person who worked with him. As everyone keeps pointing out, they're saying that Epstein was this human trafficker and he was doing all this evil stuff with underage kids. Yet, not a single person has been held accountable, so who was he working with? It can't just be with himself. But don't worry, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel are like, we're going to get to the real bottom of the things that really matter. What? Potentially how our politicians are being blackmailed, maybe getting to the bottom of why we've fought wars against our own interests for the last 30 years and sacrificed millions of people around the world and trillions of dollars.
About a year and a half after that, I'm in a green room at Fox, and I'm not going to say who because they didn't give me permission to share it, but well, the short story, but not who they are. It says, you know, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure of that? The person, let's say, is like, I'm absolutely sure of that. That he's either a witting or unwitting asset, intelligence asset, meaning his plane and that island, the cameras, there's a big assumption out there that these videotapes were exclusively in the custody of Epstein. That's a huge mistake. The reason they wanted this story to go away is because there's an assumption like, oh yeah, Epstein had him. No, he wasn't the only one who had him, according to this source. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense. Which Middle Eastern countries they are, I don't know. But this person, who's a very, very good reporter, I mean, aces, right? Swore Epstein was either a witting or unwitting intelligence asset, and they may have had his plane wired up, and they're the ones who have all this stuff. So the point is, to sum it up, how do you know some of these countries aren't going to some of these power players who aren't making decisions? Because, hey, you wouldn't want this video out there, right?
No. The story that literally almost doesn't matter at all, which is, how did cocaine get in the White House? Maybe they should go to Europe and be like, we saw cocaine on somebody's nose. We're going to try to investigate how it got in his nose. It's like, I don't know. There was a cokehead in the White House. Not saying it's right, not saying it's legal or good, but I don't know. Hundreds of people go to the White House party, sometimes 1,000. Someone there brought cocaine. Should it be investigated? Of course. I mean, how did it get into the White House? But 2 years later, should it be a top 100 or 1,000 priority of Dan Bongino and Kash Patel? Like, they have to know. To me, this is the ultimate distraction story for MAGA, where it's like, we're not going to give you the Epstein files. We're not going to tell you anything about Epstein. We're not going to tell you how Epstein influenced politicians. And the reason they don't want to tell you is because if they told you, then you'd realize a lot of your favorite politicians and the Republicans that you think are so based, they're influenced by the Epstein orbit also, so they're not going to out themselves. But anyway, we're not going to tell you any of that. We're not going to get to the bottom of the wars or even the corruption that they said was going on overseas with Ukraine and Russia that led us into that war. No. None of that, folks. How about COVID? They say they're going after Fauci and whatever. All that stuff. Who are they holding accountable for the lockdowns, the wealth transfer, the trillions of dollars spent, the millions of kids and college students that were forced into vaccination, workers, men, women, adults, everyone? No. Who brought the cocaine to the White House? We're going to really figure that out. Like, how dumb do they think we are? I don't even think MAGA cares that much about this, but I feel like this is the ultimate, like, Fox News boomer brain story where they're like, we're going to, all roads lead to Obama. People say that in my comment section all the time, and I'm like, listen, I'm not a fan of Obama. I think he has influence. It's not like he's a nobody. He was the president for 8 years, but Obama was a puppet too. That would be like all roads lead to Joe Biden. Joe Biden's road doesn't even lead to Joe Biden. Joe Biden didn't even know what he was doing half the time. So to say that he's like the ultimate orchestrator, obviously it's not. Obama, yeah, he's a lot smarter and younger than Joe Biden, but he's not the orchestrator either. He's just a puppet. If we could get the Hunter Biden's cocaine in order, then we could really beat the deep state. I mean, maybe if we see the cocaine laid out, it's going to spell Epstein and Q will appear and JFK Jr. will come up through the bleachers. And it's like, what bleachers is? Anyway, back to the story. More funny impressions of that coming later. But the cocaine investigation was part of a list posted by Bongino on X, in which he said the FBI has decided to reopen or push additional resources and investigative attention to the case. The discovery of a small bag of cocaine in a cubby near the entrance, a small bag of cocaine in a cubby. Dude, send the feds, send the army, dude. We gotta give more money to Zelensky real quick because, I mean, dude, the whole world, I mean, Putin will take over Europe if we don't find out who put this little bag of cocaine in that cubby. It's like, all right, relax. The discovery of a small bag of cocaine in a cubby near the entrance to the West Wing 2 years ago led to numerous theories of who it belonged to. And by numerous theories, it means most Republicans think that it was Hunter Biden. That's what they mean by that. But, who else are they saying? They're like, it was the Easter Bunny. The cocaine was discovered at the White House 2 days after recovering drug addict Hunter Biden left with his father and members of the family for the 4th of July holiday weekend. A Secret Service investigation into drugs was closed in less than 2 weeks due to a lack of evidence as security footage was not able to determine the owner. Without physical evidence, the investigation will not be able to single out a person of interest from the hundreds of individuals who passed through the vestibule where the cocaine was discovered, it said in a statement. The Biden family was away from Washington at the time of the discovery the cocaine took place. The White House repeatedly condemned accusations suggesting that the cocaine belonged to a Biden family member. This is the investigation that needs to open. We really need to find this out, right? The Daily Mail included this picture of Dan Bongino. It says, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino on the decision to investigate cocaine found at the White House. Oh, yeah, we'll really get to the bottom of this drug thing. Okay, wait, this is the Dan Bongino and Kash Patel that said this about Epstein, right?
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to get, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I mean, he definitely offed himself. I mean, we have all the information. I mean,
you know what, Maria? Kash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case.
They gave me the information. Who gave you the information? The government gave you the information? Like the government's just going to be like, here, Dan Bongino, here's proof of all of the crimes that we did. We wrote them down on a piece of paper and gave them to you. Oh, dude, I assume that he's just playing politician because he has to. But sometimes I wonder, like, are these people doing the best that they can in a system that's really corrupt? I get it. Or are they just dumb? I'm not trying to say he's dumb, but some people are so egotistical that they literally think, like, I'm a special boy now. I have the special boy notes and they give me this and I know everything that there is to know about the Epstein situation. Who's giving you what? You got briefed by who? By the deep state? The deep state briefed you and told you that the deep state didn't do anything. And you believe it? Like, either you believe it and you're dumb, or you're just saying that because you have to, because now you are the deep state. I might do a whole video on this now. I don't want to get into it, but, there's this group called the Patriot Front, and a lot of people always say that they're feds. I don't know that they are, because they're marching. They're not extremely obese and acting like drunken sports fans over Donald Trump, and they march and have some, further right rhetoric that is extreme to many and sticks out like a sore thumb against other Trump supporters and conservatives and whatever. So everybody always says, like, they're feds, they're feds. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I watch Mike Lee, who is literally a fed. He works for the federal government, and it's like, they're feds, they're feds. Accusing someone else of a fed when you don't really know, it works better when you're not literally a fed. Like, so many people that call other people feds literally work for the federal government. It's like, first of all, you're literally a fed, and that's provable. Second of all, if you're a fed and all your friends are feds and you work with the fed, shouldn't you be able to know who is and who isn't working in the industry that you're working? Like, you are a fed. I just find it fascinating. But don't worry. The deep state told us this about Epstein, so we've been briefed by all the deep state files. Right. I wonder what they're going to say about cocaine. Maybe it was snuffleupagus. They have like a blurry picture of like snuffleupagus in like the corner with Big Bird just doing blow, and they're like, this proves that Iran sent them to do cocaine in the White House, and now we need to start a war with Iran, or else Snuffleupagus is going to work with Putin, who's responsible for everything because he's trying to take over Europe like Hitler. And you're like, it's got to be true. I mean, they briefed Dan Bongino and Kash Patel on this information. That was a joke. Sesame Street, just a comedian here, just a guy doing comedy. And at a desk with a computer. I don't know why I got so in depth with that, but I don't want to get sued. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about CocaineGate. Is this a top 20, 30, 50, 100, 500 story that our government should be looking into? Or do they think we're stupid and that we're just going to forget about the fact that they completely dropped the ball in the Epstein files? Most likely because it'll prove that there's uniparty collusion, and I believe it's probably influenced foreign and domestic policies for the last 20 and 30 years, including foreign and domestic policy that hasn't stopped. When they push so many IHRA anti-Semitism hate speech laws, in many ways it's the opposite of showing us Epstein stuff. Since Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein's ethnicity, they could have used those hate speech rules and provided it as a shield to stop people from scrutinizing what they're doing, just like somebody could say, oh, you just think that because I'm black. And it's like, no, I'm just saying it because of what you did. It's the same thing. So we're not getting the Epstein files. We're getting the reverse Epstein files, and most likely policy that he could have either used or potentially directly influenced. Thanks for watching. God bless you guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Have a good day.